Shalom Yashra'Allah. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory, honor, and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chachadash. Double honors to the beloved elders and the apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to all you hopeful Lektakim out there laboring that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Amar from the GMS Boise, Idaho camp. And I would like to say to the brothers out there, to the believers that are participating in the day of Yawam HaKaparyam, which is the Day of Atonement, or in Spanish, El Día de Expiación. So I just wanted to briefly go into, those brothers that are, fasting and, rehearsing the righteous acts, because we understand that Yahweh Shai is our true atonement for our sins. But because, we rehearse the righteous acts, and it's always good to fast, and it's very powerful when you have all the hopeful elect in the same spirit fasting, brothers asking for, individual things that each brother needs, big or small, a time of self-reflection, a very time that's it's a very spiritual time, and especially with what's going on, throughout the world right now. So I just wanted to briefly speak on this. I know Yahweh Ratazah, the brothers, are going to be getting together, and we're going to be doing a camp lesson tomorrow. So Lord willing, we go into it more, but I just wanted to briefly, touch on the law, on what this day is. And then I wanted to get into some news that really caught my attention today, going into the speech that Pete Hegseth and DJ Trump gave to the top military brass and generals, commanders, all throughout Babylon the Great was pretty much just a joke, so. But to stay on point, it really makes the days like this really more, I guess I'm trying to say, it makes you feel even better about what you're doing in this truth, on taking time to take care of your spiritual well-being, in trying to do the best that we can in this fleshly bodies for Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, to try to model ourselves to the best of our ability to be the best brother, the best, man for Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai that we can, and that's why we do these things. We adhere and we give respect to the high holy days that are in these scriptures. And why is it important to do this? Because it's in the scripture. The same reason why it's important to know who the Israelites are. The same reason why it's so important that you need to know the true description of Yahweh Shai. And it's really important to what you need to know the meaning of the Bible is. It's very, how do you say the word is, they say the Bible is profound, because the big and little things, it's all important. Like scriptures say, any man, roughly paraphrasing, who puts the least of the commandments will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. Because this is all, it's in the law. The first 5 books of the Bible are the law. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That contains the law. And this is out of Leviticus 23 and 27. This is also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, Yahweh. Obviously, the way to afflict your souls is not beating yourself over the shoulders like the Catholics or the Muslims or monks or whoever does, putting cuttings in your flesh or whatever. No, that's not afflicting the soul. Afflicting the soul is not giving it what it wants, Whether brothers, in the evening time, like to have a drink. Well, guess what you're not doing tonight? You're chilling, Where you get some brothers like to, have a late night sweet snack, or whatever, go out and order something. Or well, I'm just, speaking that you're not going to give the things that your body needs, or I would say want, to as a desire, because you're going to really focus on this day being in the spirit, afflicting your souls, feeling sorry for, going off in whatever it is that you need to boost your spirit in. Each brother has a different way, whether you need to read more, watch videos more, do more video, whatever it is, man. And brothers, this is the time to ask for it. Like the brothers and apostles say, man, this is a very highly spiritual day, especially when you're fasting. This is Leviticus 23 and 28. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord Yahweh your power. So brothers, obviously we're in captivity, but if you can get the day off tomorrow, it's highly recommended, brothers. It's definitely nice to really be able to know that you're not going to have to overexert yourself, because obviously we're not going to be eating or drinking water. We're going to be really not focused on anything other than, trying to lock in the spirit. Brothers out there, that can do that, call Allah Yahweh Bashmi Al Shai, and call Allah Yahweh Bashmi Al Shai. I was able to get the day off, which is not easy, especially in this time, because, whether you're needed at work or whatever, man. But besides the point, none of that matters, because we're blessed to be able to do the best that we can, even have knowledge of this, and how to please Yahweh Bashmi Al Shai and afflict your souls. You weren't taught of this in church. Continuing, this is Leviticus 23 and 29. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. But as you can see, that's obviously, a part of the law on the Day of Atonement, because you are going to get cut off if you have no atonement for your sin. Because if you don't have Yahweh Shai and his blood covering you, then guess what? You're not going to make it through the time of Jacob's trouble, for their first salvation. And that is just something that, point blank period, it is what it is. Even though, yes, we do know all Israel is going to be saved, but you do not want to go out bad, especially for how gruesome, violent, unmerciful Esau is going to come down on the children of Israel, the hopeful elect, the believers. Everybody, man, is going to feel it in the time of Jacob's trouble, which is going to segue into the next section. Brothers, I hope, call Allah Yahweh Bashmi Al Shai. Again, we are able to do this Yawam Ha Kaparyam, the Day of Atonement, to be able to do this together, So, call Allah Yahweh Bashmi Al Shai, as the world is getting hectic and everybody else is, going crazy and getting stressed out and unsure about the future. Hey, the prophets are very sure about the future. And we know that it is better to go into the house of mourning than into the house of mirth. Scripture roughly paraphrasing, for this is the end of all men. So we are putting our mentality, I'm going to get it. This is Ecclesiastes 7 and 2. It is better to go into the house of mourning than to go into the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. So, hey, man, that's very spiritual for the day that we're in, man. We're not feasting. We're not eating anything. We're not even drinking. We're not even sustaining our man. That's why we were called afflicting our souls. And we're in a state of mourning for feeling bad, about the way that we have to live our life here in Babylon the Great, having to eat polluted foods, and having to deal with having these fucking heathens, Salakia, for my French, over us. It's very vexing. Them always wanting you to do something for them. Do this, do that at your job. Do this, do that. Oh, you're not showing up. Oh, you're no value of me. I don't need you. I'll get another person to do it. It's only what they can take from an Israelite is what makes an Israelite valuable. That's how the heathen looks at you. They only look at you good enough to what they can take you from you and take advantage of your abilities. So as we, the hopeful elect, the prophets, the believers, are going into, this time of mourning and afflicting our souls, this Day of Atonement, the rest of the world is, trying to distract themselves with pleasures while the rest of the world is getting ready for war. So I wanted to, segue, like I said, into highlighting one of the news highlights that popped into my head, because I feel like it was very, how do you say the word is, it was very, it was not a coincidence, that this speech is coming out around this time of year, man. The highly spiritual things happen around the Passover, Day of Atonement, these very high holy days, especially with brothers with spiritual eyes. You can see that this world is getting ready for war, and that is going to segue, like I said, into this next section, which is Pete Hegseth tells top generals, and this is the top military branch leadership from all over the world, even in active war zones. He called them from their positionings around the world to one area, telling the world that he's going to do it, only to tell them no more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses, and climate change worship. Prepare for war. And I have a couple clips from this, and you can see the look on these generals' faces. I'm sure brothers have been seeing, the different images circulate, but you can see that these mud trucking warriors don't believe jack shit that these politicians are saying, man. And the point is that they are ultimately understanding that this administration is going to lead them towards World War III. These warmongers, there's no reason to fight a war. No one's invading any other country, trying to survive their lives, other than that little strip of land over there everybody seems so worried about. But you're not worried about the Nigerians in Africa, the Christians over there getting slaughtered, man. Whole villages getting laid out with whole crates of, just so happens to be a whole crate of AK-47s in somebody's shed. And then the town next door all of a sudden gets blasted away, man. So they're not worried about genocide. They're worried about people dying that makes their people look bad. That's why this smear campaign, and saying that America is being victimized, Salakia, Babylon the Great is being victimized, that they need to get on their offense. It's a joke, man. But this is one video that I wanted to highlight was that, oh shit, wrong one, was that when the entrance of, their commander-in-chief comes in, he doesn't even get applauded. And so I'm going to play this video.
Into a room so silent. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very, don't laugh, you're not allowed to do that. You know what, just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future.
And he isn't joking about that. He's literally openly mocking the military, saying, if you're not going to go down with me, then I'm going to get rid of you. And that's what a lot of different they're called political analysts, said, that Trump is measuring up his military to see who's loyal to him and who's loyal to the Constitution, which is obviously all these men made an oath to the Constitution, but they're all a part of, Babylon the Great, but there's going to be division amongst this top brass, and as you can see, coming from their commander-in-chief is, hey, you don't like it? Hey, I'm going to take your whole future from you, is what he's saying.
But you just feel nice and loose, okay, because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time. I've never walked into a room so...
Yeah, it was a joke, man. And then, as you can see him hearing, if brothers have gone and watched the speech, I highly recommend it. There's little snippets coming out, but it was 40 minutes of trash. He said, I don't want to go down the halls of the Pentagon looking at fat generals. Man, these dumbass politicians that are little boys compared to the men that he's speaking to that have literally seen war with their own eyes and didn't take 25 years of ass kissing to get there. No, these are highly decorated veterans out there in the shit in Esau's war, getting talked to by someone who maybe did a couple tours and is a Fox News, how do you say, a Fox News political analyst, man. It's a joke, man. So with not too many words, the military is not on this administration's side because
What it is.
it's a joke, man. And I wanted to play the last video that I had. Like, again, brothers need to go look at these little snippets because it goes to show you the divide in Esau's kingdom and these mighty men forbearing to fight. But I'm going to play one video of this Pete Hegseth's leaving the speech. This
because
this
we
had me rolling.
are the War Department. Godspeed.
Room, attention.
they didn't even clap. They said group attention, which means just to stand up. Pretty much they were being told. No one clapped their hands. This is the title of this little repost that was online, but this is Hegseth waiting for the U.S. military leaders to shower him with applause and then looking dejected when it didn't happen. So, hey, man, it's funny because it just goes to show you it's highlighting a Babylon's weak abilities, man. Weak leadership, weak unity, weak communication. And it's something that he didn't even talk about, to the sense that you need to do this, we need to prepare for. He said prepare for war. No shit. What do you think they do 24/7? But he was going into their grooming standards, pretty much tightening up the regulations for a military. Telling him to shave your beard. Hey, man, we know how Esau is. But I wanted to get a couple of these scriptures because, hey, man, that standard is being set. You don't think that these other nations saw this laughing stock and these military men looking at their leadership, man? I wouldn't be surprised if there's a next news article in a couple of days saying 20, 30, 40, 50 of the top generals all resign, because they know what's going down, man. This is Jeremiah 51:27. Set ye up a standard in the land. Blow the trumpet among the nations. And this is a trumpet of war. That standard is setting up, you getting your armies, I'm getting my armies. They're setting the standard for war. Blow the trumpet among the nations. Prepare the nations against her. And that her is Babylon the Great. Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses, which is the powers, to come up as the rough caterpillars. And the horses, it's just these strong armies. Talking about these leaders that have the ability to send, troops on the ground against Babylon the Great. This is 28. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And this is ultimately talking about Russia, the king of the Medes, because that was, with the prophets, Jeremiah, seeing where the armies were coming from and the people that were living in that ancient land at the time, which is Siberia, land of wilderness. That's where they were the nation that was most closest to it. So that's where you hear them called the Medes. That's when you know they're talking about the Russians. Continuing, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And that's his allies. Russia is a major ally of Turkey, of China, North Korea, Venezuela, Iran. All these different countries that are contrary to Babylon the Great, aka the BRICS nations. And as you can see, the nations that are against Babylon the Great, go look at what Netanyahu speech win. All those delegates and nations walked out. They didn't even want to hear what he had to say. But this is continuing, and the land shall tremble. Verse 29, and the land shall tremble and sorrow. For every purpose of the Lord Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. So ultimately, ICBM nuclear missiles. That is the way that Yahweh Bashim Yahshai is going to melt this place, as well as the lasers, the chariots, the elect, the different fault lines here in Babylon the Great breaking open, magma spewing out. Who knows? Leviathan maybe even get busy on this place, man. Who knows? You know, there's going to be an overkill on this place to where not an inhabitant is going to stay there. Right now, Babylon the Great has roughly 330 million people living throughout the states, man. And that is just, an estimate. It's probably more. It may be even doubled with the undocumented or the people that ain't in the system. So this war theater is going to be coming very close to home, whether it's becoming through sedition, civil war, these different generals standing up. It's all a matter of time, because we are heading towards a boiling point where there is a big separation and, a big disagreeing between the military, the economic, and the political sphere of here in Babylon the Great. Even though, yes, they are working on the same side in the background, but that is going to not really be what they're showing you. They're going to show like they're completely against each other, and that's why this government shutdown is happening, because they can't pass certain levels of this debt ceiling to where they can sustain their bills, man. It's all bullshit, man. How the fuck can the government shut down? That's why this place is ultimately showing itself to be weakened more and more, and no one is taking this place seriously, and that is why ultimately this place, Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed. This is Jeremiah 51:30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. 31. That's me. Hey, man, no one's ready to fight. No one's ready to fight. And I like this this verse in 31. It makes me laugh. It says, one post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. Man, this is one post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another. So that you have two messengers running at each other to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. So they're both telling you, hey, my end got taken over. But the messenger is running towards the other messenger saying, hey, my end got taken over. So from east to west coast, imagine, hypothetically, if you have two runners running towards each other saying, hey, man, the whole eastern seaboard is lost. Then you have the other runner saying, oh, man, the whole western seaboard is lost from Washington all the way down to California. Oh, fuck, bro. They're going to say, oh, man, we're doomed. And they're both running to the king to tell him his shit's all fucked up, man. That's how quickly it's going to happen. And it's going to really, everybody's going to see that this place is through. And that is ultimately, when this place has no more to give, that's when they're going to come out with the charagma. When things seem so chaotic, broken down, and that there's no way to save this place, boom, the charagma, and then boom. Shortly after, World War III, or World War III could even be happening in the midst, but the nuclear missiles of World War III will not melt this place until that charagma comes. Those missiles will not fly until everyone is tested with the hour of temptation. And that's why it's a small temptation for us, to fast one day. Imagine, it's good practice for Jacob's trouble, man. Not saying that we're not going to eat, but you're going to suffer a little bit, man. And this is just, Yahweh Shai did 40 days, not saying recommend any brother to go do that, but hey, man, one day of really locking in and doing what we can do to serve Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and just keep business as normal in the sense that we're reporting on the news, and the fact that this day just highlights, our faith in rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of our ability, because call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, we have the honor to be able to call upon his name and to know how to show Yahweh Bashim Yahushai honor to the best of our ability, not throwing a Christmas tree up in your house and saying, oh, this is the Lord's, Jesus is the Christ, I don't even want to say it, JC's birthday. No, man, that's wickedness. And in the church, you always thought that was doing something good. Oh, give a pork sandwich to a homeless man, man. Going way off, man. So call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai that, again, we can be in this day together, the body of believers, the hopeful elect, as well as us being able to continue in understanding why it's such a benefit to be in the house of mourning instead of in the house of mirth. Not thinking that, oh, in 20 years, in 10 years, in 40 years, oh, I'll be able to do this and do that. No, it's a joke, man. So the Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is preparing our spirit right now before those things get to a level where people are going to be bugging out, going crazy. And so call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Again, brothers are able to do this Yawam Ha-Kaparyam. And Lord willing, that this lesson was edifying unto the elect and to you brothers scattered throughout the world. Lord willing, that this lesson was edifying to those believers as well. Till next time, I'd like to give all glory, honor, and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rachach, and double honors to the beloved elders and the apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth. And peace and salutations to all you hopeful like Hakim out there laboring that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. Till next time, Lord willing.